Christmas. This is Christmas Sunday. I know that it doesn't feel like it because Christmas is still coming, but it is Christmas Sunday. I was thinking about Christmas, and one of the things that I realized is Christmas is a lot different when you're young than when you're like older. When you're young, Christmas is a lot like a rocket ship. You know, it starts really slowly, and there's just more and more excitement, there's more and more joy, it gets funner and funner, and then finally Christmas happens, and it's a lot of fun. And for kids, that's the way it is. They look forward to the presents and the trees and everything else that's there, and it's exciting. When you're older, though, it's not like a rocket, it's like a roller coaster. It goes up and down and up and down. There are times, when you're older, there are parts of Christmas that are exciting, that are fun, that are joyful, but then there are also times where, we do feel sad, or we do feel lonely, or we do feel empty. As a matter of fact, there's a lot of different studies that have said that people during the holidays, especially Christmas, report more feelings of emptiness and depression and sorrow than any other time during the year. And in a lot of ways, one of the reasons why as a church we celebrate Advent is because in the midst of feeling like that, of feeling up and down and feeling sometimes lonely and depressed and sorrowful, Advent reminds us that we need faith. Advent reminds us that there is something that is not just holidays and happiness, but that God is behind all of it. And so, what we've been doing is, I know in the English ministry, we've been kind of working through these different events leading up to and through Jesus' birth. And each of them have given us this picture of faith, this picture of what faith is supposed to look like. We've seen different people receive the news of Jesus' birth. We've seen people go to Jesus and meet him for the first time. And when we watch their responses, we get a picture of what our faith is supposed to look like. We get a sense of what faith is. For instance, we have someone like Mary. Mary receives the news about Jesus, that she's going to bear this child, and immediately we see that her response is to trust God. Right? She trusts in God's loving kindness, his graciousness. And it shows us that in us, faith is to trust, is to respond in trust, is to trust God's love. In the passage we looked at today, we looked at the wise men who come from the east. And so when we see this story of these wise men who come from the east, who follow the star and find Jesus, we see a couple different things. I think we see what they saw. We see second, what they found. And third, how they responded. And so that's what we're going to look at as we go through this passage. What they saw, what they found, and how they responded. So first, what they saw. In verses 1 and 2, sorry, I'm in the wrong passage, Matthew. That passage is for later today. So Matthew chapter 2, verses 1 and 2, it says this. It says, "Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea, in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, 'Where is he who is born King of the Jews? For we saw his star when it rose and have come to worship him.'" So, we have the beginning of the story, and in the very beginning, we have the wise men coming to search. And the reason why they're